What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. I just wanted to do another portfolio update. Go ahead and dive in. We'll first talk about the markets, and then I'll go ahead and get into some of my positions and some of the other plays that I had been watching. I did add to one position today, so we'll go ahead and get into that when I go through my stocks. So you can see here the S&P 500 has been making slowly a new all-time high here. The NASDAQ has been lagging. I'm expecting either for some weakness to end up showing up or this to start pushing up to this previous all-time high around 26,259 or to start rolling over. So we'll continue to monitor that. Tech has been underperforming the rest of the market. Like I mentioned in my last video, I'm not sure if it is a transition period where it's just taking a break, money's rotating into the other stocks and out of tech. It's hard to say what exactly is going to happen, if this is bullish consolidation or bearish, distribution. People are offloading their shares and these stocks are going to start falling more. But everything else has been making new all-time highs. The Dow just made a new all-time high. The Russell has been slowly continuing to make new all-time highs. So it's just tech, which leads me to believe that money is just flowing out of tech and into a lot of these other companies. The presumption is that the Fed is going to continue to cut rates this year, which is good for smaller companies, which is why the Russell has been having this nice move here, because a lot of these companies are not profitable or barely profitable, and with lower interest rates, that's more beneficial to them. So it's definitely the theme that I have been focused on playing. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll make sure the link is in this video. I talked about that a lot of my portfolio this year is heavily weighted in small cap stocks, specifically with the idea that they're going to outperform SPY and QQQ. So essentially they're going to outperform the other 493 stocks in the S&P 500 and the Mag 7. That's just what I believe is going to happen. It doesn't mean I don't have any exposure to tech. I still own AMD. And if weakness shows up in some of these tech stocks, I will probably buy back into some of them. But I just think that there's more money to be made in small caps right now, which is why my portfolio is so heavy in that. But let's go ahead and just take a quick peek at some of these positions here. So AMD tried to get above this 50-day moving average on the 5th. You see it poked its head, completely got destroyed, and had this massive meltdown all the way from, 233 to this morning. It opened up almost at $200. I haven't made any adjustments here. You can see the fibs that I have here, these little yellow, kind of orangish colored fibs here are where I would look to add to my positions. I don't want to add here at 197. There's this big gap fill that I've continued to talk about in prior videos that I'm waiting for. So somewhere probably between 187 to this 165 is where I'm going to look to probably add to my position here. So that's where I stand with AMD. My Nebius position is looking good. We were consolidating. We were failing to get above this 50-day, and now we're pushing up higher and getting above it. So 107, this is a great candle today. You can see big strength, not the greatest volume here, but let's see what happens. Let's see if there's some follow through. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up falling back over to try and come back down here and retest this 50-day again. ASTS still looks extremely bullish until otherwise. I haven't added or done anything with this position since since I made a video just a few days ago. Rocket Lab, same thing. I've got this upper trend line here. I own 110 shares. I plan to sell some covered calls on 100 of those shares. If it gets up here to like the mid 90s, I'm going to sell probably either hundreds or maybe 110s. If it continues to rally and blow right past this upper trend line and my shares get called away, I'm going to take the profit. It's going to be close to probably $9,000 at that point, and I'll either sit on my hands and wait for a pullback to re-enter, or I'll deploy the cash into something else that is lagging right now that I think could catch up. HIMS was the only position that I added to today, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if I briefly mentioned it in the last video, but it had this big gap fill here that it hadn't filled yet. This was going back all the way from May, so almost 7 or 8 months ago now. And it filled it today beautifully down to this like $30 level that I had here. I had an order for 25 additional shares to be bought at $30.02. I'll show you here in a second when I log into Robinhood and we go through all my positions, because last time when I made my video, Robinhood hadn't sent, or Interactive Brokers hadn't sent over my average share costs for all my positions, but it's updated now. So we can go through those once I'm done here, just showing you guys the charts and what I'm seeing. The other thing that I had here, if you go to a 24-hour chart, which is usually what I like to look at, I had this nice downtrend kind of line here supporting. As you can see here, it's from tapped here, support. Now, nice support here. Once again, not the biggest volume candles, but obviously a little bit more than what we had been seeing here. And it filled that gap. So I bought a little bit more shares. I'm still in the camp that this could come down to this $25 level. And I'll tell you why. This level had been resistance here. This was the IPO all-time high back here in February of 21. Had this massive drop down consolidation, pushed back up in June of 24, failed there, broke through, retest, took off, came back down on the tariff sell-off in April, retest, took back off. So it wouldn't shock me if there's bigger buyers, institutions that are sitting down here around this 25 level and are waiting to get filled on orders. This is where I think your best risk to reward is. Now, if you feel like you don't want to miss this move on HIMS, possibly, then buy some shares here. And I wouldn't completely size in though here if you haven't got any size in the game at all here. I would buy maybe half your position or 30% of your position and possibly wait, because I do believe we could roll over. Now, if we don't, at least you'll have some skin in the game, but that's just where I'm at. So I have 175 shares. With buying the 25 today, I think my average is around like 35.02 or something, but we'll definitely look at that once I get in here. ZETA, still haven't done anything with this position. Looking for it to possibly potentially pull back, and I'll decide at that point if I want to add to the position. Unipath got very close to getting back down here to this 50-day moving average. I talked about in my last video that it had bounced up, and I was hoping that it would get back down here to this 50 or even get back down to 15. It hasn't got there yet, so I haven't messed with any of the position at all. I've just left it as is for now. Oscar had a nice rally over the last week or so. I'd really like to see this 1770 area break above and hold above this. You can see here it was resistance, support, 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 then it dropped down, resistance, got back up for a day, resistance, and now we're going back and testing this area again. I do believe, and I think I mentioned it in the last video, if we can get back above this 1770, that there's not a lot of resistance to coming back up here and testing this 2330 area. So that's where I think that once this turns into support, we could be headed. I also mentioned that there's a chance that Oscar could roll back over and come down into this gray box here with previous resistance levels here that could act as a magnet potentially if there's weakness. If this continues to be strong and turn 1770 into support, I think we're going up to at least 20, maybe testing this 23 area up here. So we'll see what's going on with that. On this position, I haven't done anything with. I still have my shares right around 1868, I believe. So we'll see what happens with this position. It's a small position. I have some fibs here drawn out. If it pulls back into like the 11 to $10 range, I'm probably going to add to this position. So let me go ahead and pull up my Robinhood and let's go ahead and take a look at things. So you can see here on the day, once this loads, I'm up $1,257. The account is up to $46,480 in total. Over the last week, we're up about $2,600, and year to date, we're up 23%, $8,600 just about. You can see here, so now we can go back in and review these positions. So Rocket Lab is my largest holding in the portfolio. My average cost is $42.37. I've got 110 shares, and I'm up almost about $5,000 right now. Let's go back here. So my Nebius position is my next biggest position. It's 13% of my portfolio. My average cost is $89.75. I have 70 shares and up just a little under $1,300 right now, which is pretty good. My next position is AMD. So 206.49, 30 shares, barely break even right now. Let's see. My ZETA position, average cost is $18.89, 250 shares, 10% of the portfolio, up almost $1,400. HIMS, is 35.33, so I was a little off. Almost 10% of the portfolio, 175 shares. I'm down 517 bucks. And let me show you so that way you know. So today, this is my buy today. So today's Jan 12th, 2026. I bought 25 shares and I bought it the limit price of $30.05. And then to round it out, my ASTS position. So my average cost $74. I just have 50 shares and I'm up almost 1,200 bucks on this position here. My last two, Unipath, let's see here. 1687, 200 shares, and I'm up $74. And then to round it out is Ondas, 150 shares, $8.64, 3.5% of my portfolio, about $690. I did have Energy Fuels, which is the ticker UUUU, in my last video. I sold that with the idea that if HIMS kept dropping, I was going to buy more HIMS shares, and I just wanted to free up some cash in case Unipath kept dropping because I was going to buy more shares of that as well. So that's why if you watched the last video and you're looking at this video and wondering where that went, I sold out on, I think Friday I sold out. I bought that stock for $15.02, 100 shares, so it only cost me like a little over 1,500 bucks, and I sold it in the mid 18s. So I only made like 350 on it, but I wanted to free up cash, and I didn't really feel like holding on to the position at this point was the most important thing. So, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what the market continues to do. There was a big news last night. I guess Trump opened a criminal investigation against Jerome Powell related to the Federal Reserve and their renovations that Powell, I guess, potentially was lying about the costs and everything. So the market got spooked last night. If you were watching the market, the NASDAQ, I think, was down almost 300 points overnight. But we're green. You know, if you look back today, we finished the day somewhat green, and the market kind of shook it off. How much longer the market continued to shake off this bad news, it's hard to say. But at the same time, too, you have to ask yourself, if the market is continuing to get all these news events that should be bad and should drag the market down, and it's staying up, that also is showing extreme resilience from the bulls, that every time this market drops, somebody's coming in and buying the market. Now, it's not me, it's not you probably watching this video, because as a retail investor, we don't have enough money to move the market. It's big money coming in and buying up, you know, these dips essentially. So, but like I said, it's hard to know right now whether this is accumulation and this is why we haven't seen these big moves yet for the NASDAQ, or if it's distribution, if institutions and bigger money is slowly selling their positions in a lot of these tech stocks and it's about to roll over. It's hard to say. I won't know until I see the chart showing me that it's starting to roll over. Then I'm going to be like, okay, we might need to take some defense here. You know, maybe put on a put spread or buy some puts as a hedge, and protect some downside here. But for now, the market is holding up. It's acting resilient until I see something otherwise that's showing me that. I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to, you know, worry about it. But it is something that I'm keeping an eye on, and you should definitely keep an eye on as well. So I'll make another video sometime next week. We'll see what the portfolio is doing, what the market's doing, and we'll catch you guys then. Peace.